Hello, I'm Dr. Ruthie, sexuality educator and relationship expert over at exploringintimacy.com. Wishing you a happy holidays thanks to the wonderful folks at Funwares who are letting me answer your questions about sexuality and relationship. And once again, I'm here from my childhood bedroom here over the holidays, wishing you the best and answering your questions. So this time, I'm answering a question that I get very, very often, and could definitely deserve an entire book to address, but I'm going to give you my top tips right here. And this is how to help male partners last longer, regardless of who their sweeties may be. Now, you may be watching this because you are interested yourself, fine man, in lasting longer, or perhaps you are hoping that the main man in your life can last a little bit longer stamina-wise. And first, what do I mean by lasting longer? Well, what I mean and what most people tend to mean by this is that he can last longer during penetrative intercourse before he has an orgasm. Now, the first thing I want to let you know is kind of what averages are around this. Averages somewhere in the vicinity of 2 minutes. Could be a lot less, could be a lot more. It's really difficult for us to know because people don't tend to remember very accurately how long they've lasted. Even folks who don't think they last very long tend to overestimate. So this number, could have a lot of wiggle room in it and a lot of different factors involved too. So just to give you a little bit of an idea, though, that the average or the goal we should all be aiming for is not 20 minutes. If that's what you want and that's what you can do, I hope you're doing it well for 20 minutes so that it's not boring. But, if you've been sitting here thinking that you need to get to 20 minutes or you're not a real man, just wash that thought right out of your hair because you don't need that. That is not a reasonable expectation for someone, for most folks, and maybe for someone. All right, now that that's out of the way, let's talk about a few ways to last a little bit longer. If you find that you're falling way short of 2 minutes or whatever you desire that time to be, that is a realistic time. The first thing to let you know is that worrying about make it worse. The more heightened and focused we are on our performance, the more likely our erection is to either fail us and kind of drop off at an inopportune moment, or for us to have our orgasm sooner than we wanted it to happen, or perhaps sooner than our partner wanted it to happen. So it's easier said than done to take that pressure off because the pressure came from somewhere, but I do want to let you know that you have some control over that pressure issue. Speaking of pressure, one of the top things that you can do is to take a little bit of the physical pressure off ahead of time and to go ahead and masturbate prior to when you're going to be getting it on with your sweetie. It could be before the date. It could be at the beginning of the time that you're going to have sex with them. They can watch you, touch you, you can get off, but keep yourself in that mood so that they're pleased. And if you have a shorter time before you can have more sex, and perhaps you can have intercourse again in that same period of time. Judge yourself. You hopefully know how long you last, how long you need to recover between when you get off. So perhaps doing it at the beginning or doing it the day before, earlier that day, can be very helpful. The next thing I want to suggest to you, so you're going to try and meditate that emotional pressure away, and you're also going to try and relieve some of that sexual pressure ahead of time. The next thing I would tell you is to focus on whole body sensations. So a lot of times when folks have that performance anxiety, they're thinking very much about their genitals and the feeling their genitals are having, and oh no, I hope this isn't going to happen again. What I'd like you to do is to imagine the pleasure throughout your body and begin to let yourself feel the pleasure throughout your whole body. When you are less focused on the sensation in your genitals, it's easier to feel the sensation of the sheets against your toes, or the way your partner's hair feels, or the feel of their skin, and the sound of their voice, and begin to attend to all of these different things. And multitasking with our attention can help us to last a whole heck of a lot longer, or it can help guys to last a whole heck of a lot longer, right? So that is the third suggestion that I have. The fourth suggestion, and this may actually be the most important suggestion that I have here, is to change what it means to be a good performer. And a lot of times guys are concerned that they have penetrative intercourse until she has an orgasm. Well, if your lover is a female, I hate to tell you guys, but most women do not have orgasms through penetrative intercourse unless there's clitoral stimulation going on at the same time. Doesn't mean she doesn't love it. Doesn't mean that your male partners don't love it. That just means that usually isn't what gets people off, regardless of gender. So, what we can do is focus on a sweeties comes first perspective. So, if you have a female partner, helping her to reach an orgasm before penetrative intercourse begins, or mixing that penetration with other things. So, a little bit of manual stimulation, a little bit of oral stimulation, break for massage, and some sensual feeding of chocolates to each other, a little bit of penetration, a little bit of sex toys. She has a lovely orgasm, and then you have penetration with your male partners, again, mixing it up the same way so that the orgasm happens before the penetration, where there's at least really hearty warm-up and they're very, very close, and you're mixing manual or vibrator stimulation in at the same time as you're having intercourse. This takes a lot of the pressure off your shoulders for having to be such a good person at penetration that you can get them off that way, which really, if that's your goal, then we have design flaws. It's just not how our bodies tend to work for the vast majority of men and women on the receiving side of penetration. So taking care of your partner first is a loving, caring way for both of you to enjoy it. Hopefully your partner will enjoy penetrative intercourse afterwards, or maybe you don't even have to do that every time. Turns out the majority of us, that isn't even our favorite activity. We like it a whole lot, and our culture prizes it and gives it a big gold star, but most of us actually get more pleasure from other activities like manual and oral stimulation, or even self-stimulation. So yeah, ease up on your definition of sex a bit and allow yourselves to explore and mix and match a bit so you can take some of that pressure off. If you're watching this video because you'd like your sweetie to last longer and you're trying to come up with ideas, or you've invited them to watch the video with you, I also want to encourage you not to make a mistake that I hear from a lot of clients, which is to put a lot of pressure on your partner to last a long time during vigorous penetrative intercourse. This just isn't a realistic expectation for many people. Some folks do just fine with that. Some folks wish they could have their orgasm faster during intercourse. But for many folks, that vigorous kind of penetration just isn't in the cards for lasting a long time. Find some other things that you really enjoy. And if you're like, oh, I don't want to give this up, I'm not asking you to give it up. I'm asking you to reopen the book and find other things that you also love just as much, if not more, and adding them in. Where there's one thing we really like, there's going to be more than one thing. And what a great experiment to try and figure out what that is. So for all of you sweeties out there who would like your partners to last longer and want to support them in that goal, I encourage you to take a look at your expectations around penetrative intercourse and to help them match the goals that the two of you have together as well. That'll also take a lot of pressure off them and just make sex a whole lot more fun in general for both of you. What a great holiday gift to give each other, right? I'm Dr. Ruthie. I hope that these suggestions on lasting longer bring you both closer to each other, and I will see you at the next video and on my website at exploringintimacy.com. See you later.